Cita Blanco de Artsy, and we're now reading Saturnastra Loki. This is chapter 4, part 3. He did not particularly care for her, rather he was keen on seeing what would happen if both sisters had a prolonged interaction with one another. And to create this effect, he went to see Alida at her home, and Alida did not have an official home. She had traveled with numerous troops in the past which provided her needs, and aside from her costumes, the only thing she was truly attached to was an antique copper ring with a raw aqueous opal. Not fond of invitation, Loki made his way to the curtains and stood behind Alida, who was resting in a hammock, and she was staring at the ring which was rested in her vanity desk, and once he put it on his normal face, he whispered to her softly, "Hey," and looking at him through the mirror, Alida asked, "Do you ever knock?" I find that by knocking, I give people the chance not to see me, and once I'm inside, they are compelled to at least engage in polite talk. Therefore, here I am without knocking," said Loki. "I could just scream and call for the others to beat you up again," suggested Alida. "I'm not one to go easy and weakly, and they are so foolhardy as to engage me in combat. They must be prepared to face the consequences," explained Loki. "It is not so easy to tell whether the bite is too big for one's mouth," said Alida, smiling. "So this is a problem I rarely experience. How quaint. Have you ever swallowed an elephant?" asked Loki. "Wouldn't know, as my education is quite limited," said Alida, smiling. "That could be easily remedied if you have a mind to do so," suggested Loki. "Why bother? I haven't the time to bother about such trivial matter. What good would it do to me, whether it's elephants, dodos, or tuna fishes? My body has always had a high tolerance for poisons and now the nauseous foods, like rotten carcasses, and I avoid them whenever possible. But at times one just has to have a good bite of a leather strap," said Alida, sighing. "What's the matter?" asked Loki. "Oh, nothing's the matter," said Alida. "Come on, you can tell me," insisted Loki. "It's nothing, geez. And pray do tell me, what is it that you so desire?" "You did not come here for idle chat," insisted Alida, shifting in her hammock. Loki was quiet for some time, and then he said, "Ingrid is sad she did not get to speak with you." "And why should that matter to me?" asked Alida. "I know you have low tolerance for humans, but the fact is that Ingrid is not a true human, but the outcome of a magical troll concoction, just like you," explained Loki. "I am already aware of how I came to be, and there's no need to be reminded, and frankly, it doesn't matter to me in the least, and people's true selves do not matter, and the fact that she looks human, and actually human, and is treated like a human is enough for me to consider her a human," said Alida. "You disappoint me," said Loki, changing forms, and he acquired the 6 feet high, black eyes, and long waving hair, and once he had the appearance of a human, he continued as thus, "It is so fashionable today to blame humans for everything, to see them as the root of all evil. And I have lived among humans, and I to know that they come in all shapes, and most of them are good, though they occasionally engage in questionable activities. And who are you to say that given the circumstances you would not do the same?" Loki was of a mind to say more in defense of the entire human race, and as a descendant of humans, he was not too keen on having them bad mouths, and after being thoughtful for some time, Alida said grudgingly, "All right, I will see her." "And I will chaperone since to kisses from escalating," said Loki, inviting himself. "Fine, whatever," said Alida, frowning, and she added, "Now that this is settled, please show yourself out." "You're not the boss of me," said Loki with a childish tone. "Fine, stay or leave or do whatever. As far as I'm concerned, you are not even here," said Alida, closing her eyes. After pretending to be asleep for half an hour, Loki finally got bored and left to tell Ingrid the good news, and once he was gone, one of the circus performers commented, "That creature certainly has nothing better to do, does he?" "I suppose not. Such is the current state of all men who fought in the war," said Alida. And she had seen plenty of veterans during her wanderings in Mita, and it was the same everywhere she went, the same idle lot, just looking for another thrill that could never come from the former emotions of engaging in warfare. It was another crisp, hot, acrid afternoon in Mita, and it was rare that the poor city would lack wind, and however during these rare days the city became a furnace, and it wasn't so much the heat but the smell that became intolerable, and even the locals who have by now partial immunity to the smell preferred to avoid the fish markets altogether on such days, and very few shops opened, even the ones in the flower district, and it was in the flower district where Alida had decided to meet Ingrid. And she was to see Ingrid in a shop called the Water Garden, and the shop primarily specialized in selling blue flowers, and the best-selling item was a rose, the Gentiana dahurica, and the blue poppy. And when had to see Alida, she had 2 flowers for both of them. And for Loki, she had a gardenia. And for Ingrid, she had a hydrea. And when Loki took his gift, he gave Alida a funny smirk while Ingrid smiled gleefully, and she said, "Thank you." Ingrid tied the flowers to her chest, to the ribbons in her chest, while Loki placed his flower at the end of his braid. Shocked, Ingrid said, "You are going to wear that flower in your hair. That is very unmanly." "I see nothing wrong with it," commented Alida. "A lot of men down in the docks wear makeup and dresses and flowers." "Really?" asked Ingrid. After forcing her memory a bit, she remembered seeing some manly-looking woman in the docks, and she had not bothered to pay close attention to him, though now she thought about it, it was possible that there were men dressed as women. "Those men are probably followers of Erua, and you probably do not know this since you do not get out much, but the people in this continent worship many gods, and some of their practices are rather amusing," commented Loki. Said Ingrid, nodding while she pretended to pay attention. She didn't care about the beliefs of other creatures. And the trio left the flower shop to wander aimlessly around the city, and eventually they decided to visit the beach and the nearby forest. And on the other side of the sheltered lagoon, which held the docks, was a pristine, immaculate beach, and there was only a couple of ruined homes. While walking in the sand, Ingrid from time to time would pick up a seashell. No one of the group seemed too keen on breaking the silence. In emulating her sister, Alida also started to pick up shells, and it was silly to see her do so, since she had to rely on her tail and mouth to handle the seashell. And Ingrid was impressed at how well Alida could manage without any fingers or toes. However, when she slipped through one of the soft round surfaces, she ended up uncovering a skull, about 13 centimeters in diameter. And Alida yelled, "Eep!" and dropped the skull. And Loki picked it up, and he removed the sand of it before saying, "Now, isn't that most unfortunate?" "Unfortunate is putting it lightly," remarked Ingrid. And she just picked up a skull. Eep! Time?
7 minutes.
"Do you think it's a human skull?" asked Alida. "Again with a human cheek. Give it a rest, Alida," rebuked Loki. "Sorry, my bad," said Alida, sticking her tongue out playfully. After staring at the skull a bit, Loki said, "Based on the skull shape and physical form, I guess that it belongs to a baby human, or a 6-year-old dwarf, or a 2-year goblin, or a 70-year-old dragonling, a premature giant, or a baby saurian." So basically, you have no idea what humanoid creature this skull belongs to, commented Ingrid. "Well, there is a way to find out, though it's not pretty," explained Loki. Alida soon dug a hole with her tail, and she buried the skull. "And still soaking," she said. "Does anyone know any funerary prayers?" "It's just a dumb skull, gee," said Ingrid, folding her arms. "No, you're dumb. I want someone to say a prayer for it," insisted Alida. "Since my dear Lady Ingrid suffers from anomie, and you are a bit of a nihilist, I will take it upon myself to say a prayer for the skull," said Loki. His attire took the form of a red kimono with a golden sash, and on his head Loki put on a purple hat. Don't you get tired of changing forms and outfits all the time?" asked Ingrid. "It gets a bit old, don't you think? It's just us." "On the contrary, these changes is all I can do to amuse myself as of late," said Loki, yawning. You are welcome to go to your own devices, and we do not need a chaperone," suggested Alida, biting her lower lip. "If you say so, my dears, but you never know what dangers lurk in the shadows," said Loki, chuckling, and he added, "Pay me no mind." "The prayers, if you so desire," said Alida, changing the subject. "Oh yes, the prayers," said Loki, starting as though, "Oh my God, this is your servant. Set his face towards you, let him be detached from all, except from you. Grant him admission to your prisons of your transcendental mercy, which is the foundation of all, and there is no God but you, ever forgiving, ever generous. God is great." "That was beautiful, Loki," said Ingrid, removing a fake tear from her eyes. Changing back to his favorite armor, Loki said, "Have you no respect for the dead?" "That's funny coming from you," interjected Ingrid. Loki was about to record, but then chose to keep his menagerie response to himself, and the silence soon crept back to the shore, and the sun set on their little excursion without making much progress. And the following day, Alida gave her resignation letter to the circus, and she had decided to take up Ingrid's offers to live with her a bit. And the Troll Queen was impressed with Loki being the catalyst for such pleasant turns of events, and for years she had tried to bring Alida into her form. But the maiden had stubbornly refused, and after meditating a bit on what had triggered the change, the wise Troll Queen had come up with a plan, and she told Alida that Ingrid had not seen much of the world. And she would like for Ingrid to travel a bit together with Alida and Loki as Kidena's bodyguard, and Alida did not argue with the Troll Queen. And so it was decided that Ingrid would travel the continent for a year before returning home. Much to Ingrid's annoyance, an additional person was added to their party, and the first person was a little goblin named Red, and he was one of the many caretakers of animals and performers in the circus. And wherever there was a common pantomime of clowns, he always played the role of the sly Scaramouche. And he was not a role he particularly liked, but he played it quite well. And Ren was tall in comparison to the rest of the Goblin King, and did not amount much, seeing as though he was only 5'6", and with his roll of sharp teeth, emerald skin, and violet eyes, he caused enough of an impression among those who did not belong to the so-called monsters race. And when not in short, Red always wore a somber, melancholic expression with a sort of resignation of a donkey used to a life of burden. And for the trade, Loki had acquired a gilded carriage with red curtains, and both doors had lovely stucco paintings featuring fat babies in the meadows playing with sheep. And for the mounts, Loki had bought 5 hanky horses with brown coats and white feet. Time?
2 minutes.
Once all of the preparations were ready, Loki said to Rent, "This is not going to be a pleasure trip. With the dissolution of the continent, people are going to be looking for easy targets. And aside from Veragero, Meetham, and Aragon society, there are very few places where there's still some semblance of civility and peace. Be always on your guard." "Yes, sir," said Rent stiffly. With a carriage like that, he naturally assumed that they would get attacked by highwaymen as soon as they left town. And then looking about, he said, "So, where are the girls?" Here comes Ingrid," said Loki, opening the carriage door. Loki frowned and said, "And I'm going to look for Alida." "She's just running a bit late, I suppose," suggested Ingrid. "Well, you know how things go. It's time with someone being late, and then boom, you find that person face down in the docks. Just wait here for me," said Loki. And reaching for his hair, he brought out a claymore, and he handed it to Rent, and Rent stumbled under his heavy weight of a weapon that was almost the same height. And climbing the walls of the city, Loki stretched his arms out, and with his eyes open wide, and one of the guards in the tower noticed him and said, "What in the world?" And when the answer to his inquiry came to him, Loki removed his hairband, and with the blue garnelia, his hair became blue flames, and the guards watching his progress were hesitant about engaging what they believed to be a demon. And stretching his fingers, they became as bat wings, and he flew over the city in the direction of Alida. And he was relieved to see Alida gingerly slithering her way towards the stable in the outskirts of town. And he landed some ways behind her, and wore his classical guise, and he was about to join her when a familiar scent entered his nostril. To the jagged corners of the alley, and walking in the direction of the wind, he saw a corner littered with corpses, and dripping with blood, a figure stood which reminded Loki of a Trent or a Hamadryad, with its woody body and flower. And as it was turning into petals, the creature spoke wordless words, and the last thing to disintegrate was his fist. And Loki picked up the bloody stained iron, and it was nothing but a silver copper ring devoid of ornamentation. And Loki stared at the ring for quite some time, and he could almost remember seeing it somewhere before. And the deaf island and his surroundings became still silent for a few moments, and the silence clung like a disease to all objects and things. And even Loki's icy breath decided to pay obedience to the oppressive void. Time?
Less than a minute.
Alright, we're done with it. Bye-bye, God bless.